Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to go ahead and begin our next chapter lecture on Chapter 9, the Internet and the World Wide Web. So what is the Internet? Well, it's made up of millions of interconnected individual networks and computers. So any computer that's hooked up to a network can be connected to this internet web. The users of the internet are estimated to be over 1 billion people. But what's nice is that no matter where you are, everyone uses the same established protocol, TCP/IP. Now, what's nice is that the internet is not owned or operated by any one entity. It's just worldwide. And it's sort of regulated by the Internet Society, which is sort of a watchdog group to kind of keep track of its use. Now, how do we connect to the internet? Well, we take advantage of telecommunications, either by a telephone line or a cable. And what you see here is a very good example of what it looks like. Electronic communications between computers via phone lines. So here we have a computer here, and so there is a little electronic component called a modem that carries the signals through the telephone lines or telephone cables from computer to computer so they can talk to each other. Now, telecommunications also offers an alternative to direct network connections. Now, modems will take these signals, digital signals, and convert them from digital to analog, which is the type of waveform for for telephone. Modems have to be connected to both the sending and receiving computers because that's really the only way that we can connect with to the internet via modem. Now, modems themselves come in a variety of types, but yet they'll basically vary in terms of speed of transmission. You'll have some that are very slow, some that are extremely fast. The modem may be outside the computer or it may be built into it. And of course, they'll have to have, your computer will have to have some kind of telecommunications software loaded on the computer to be able to operate the modem. Now, some networks may include multiple modems to allow connections from home computers. Now, once your modems are connected, usually a login ID and a password are required to be able to get into a network. Modems might not be as fast as a workstation since phone lines have a small bandwidth. ISDN and DSL lines have a higher bandwidth and make access faster. And so you kind of go up in speed. And of course, a faster alternative would be cable modems. Now, normally we're going to have to be able to hook up to the internet via some type of internet service provider or ISP. And they'll provide home users temporary connections to the internet for a monthly fee. And so whether you're on phone or whether you're on cable or some other form, you will pay a monthly fee to hook up. So the home users connect to the ISP's network, which is connected to the internet. And so what our modem will do is to provide access to the ISP's network, which is normally just hardwired to the internet. Now, what are some services that you and I can expect to have as we pay for internet access? Well, instant messaging is one, where we can kind of send and receive messages to our friends and colleagues real time. Discussion groups, news readers. Our ISP provider may even provide personal web spaces for us, and other services that kind of vary from provider to provider. I know like I'm on Charter Internet. They provide multiple email addresses. I think up to 6, and then also there is some software applications that they have that I can download for free, especially one virus software that pretty good software. And so you have because of your contract, once you log in, you can go to the download section and download software for free because of your monthly bill. And certainly they'll provide internet access and communications. Obviously, you're going to need a browser, some type of program that'll help you connect to the internet, and usually Internet Explorer 8.0 or above is one way to do it. Of course, they'll provide email services usually, and last but certainly not least, technical support. In case something goes wrong with your modem, you'll have some kind of technical support to help you work through your connection problems, and if worst comes to worst, to reinstall your broken piece of equipment. Also, it could have some chat rooms where you get together with like-minded individuals and just talk about things. In dealing with email, internet email is remarkable, powerful, and the most powerful communications tool. We can send and receive emails from all over the globe. It's very much like an electronic mailbox. Now, it can be of two types. Synchronous, which means that it's same time. So if somebody in China wants to send me an email right now, I can get it and read it. So it's real time, same time. Or asynchronous, which means that it's time shifted. They might send it right now, but I won't get it until tomorrow. So synchronous and asynchronous are two very important words from whenever we're dealing with the internet. Now, email addresses different from URLs, the universal resource locators for websites. There's a different format between email addresses and the URLs. And they basically use a combination of the login name at the network name, like Jan. You see there, jan.smith@gmail.com, and that extension is usually the internet provider's domain. And here's some pretty common features that you and I would get in email: the ability to create an address book, to CC and BCC options, to send the email to somebody, carbon copy some other individuals, and then go with the blind carbon copy if we want somebody else to see it and not let everyone else know about it. There's a subject line which will give us the information that concerning the email, what it's all about, so we can kind of decide, do we need to read it now or do we need to wait till later? And then to reply, either to the sender or everyone else that sent that email. We can also forward emails to other individuals. We can attach files. We can attach PowerPoints, documents, whatever we want to our emails. And then, of course, we can save them, have some place to store them, and access them whenever we need them. And also the capacity to print them, put a hard copy in our hand so we can kind of read it or file it away if we need to. Now, how is email used in education? Well, I guess probably the most common thing is to give students the chance to send their assignments to us, assignment transmission. They can submit the assignments and teachers can grade or correct them and then send them back to them with the corrections. Class discussions. The instructor can pose a question to the class and then the class can then respond via email. Electronic key pals are students that can work together remotely on the same assignments, and so you can kind of split your students together in groups and have them work on like a group project, and so like that they can connect with each other and get the job done. But they might not ever see each other. They would be connecting remotely. And finally, communication. There's a wide range of possible outcomes relating to classes, teachers, and other students. You know, we're kind of just limited by our imagination of how we can utilize email. Now, let's talk a little bit about discussions. There are things called electronic bulletin boards or forum, which allow users to read messages from others. And you can post a message for others to read. Certainly, Joule has that capability. I haven't used it in this particular course. It doesn't mean I might not try it before the end of it, just to for us to kind of see the feature. But you know, we can discuss all kinds of topics. And certainly, you have from one to many communication, and so you can reach out and communicate with a large number of individuals. And certainly they can also be either very public or also very private groups. And so there's, you know, very big danger for the public ones, because let's face it, anybody and everybody can see it, what's written. The private ones, you have a lot more security. And your discussions are usually based on threads, a single line of conversation that can be followed through all the responses. And so if I would give you all a topic on, let's say, the uses of computers in your in vocational education, that would be a thread. And we could all answer each other on that thread. But then somebody might say, well, wait a minute, I'd like to maybe look at something else and maybe start a new thread, and then we can start talking about that. And so we can create all kinds of threads and take conversations in all kinds of different directions. You got your mailing list or listservs. And these are automatic electronic mailing lists that deliver messages to subscribers. You know, if you're on the listserv, let's say for a news group, like let's say like CNN. Well, you're going to get daily, maybe even hourly updates on the news via email, or maybe sent to your smartphone. And so you subscribe to that, or a lot of times it's free, but you create an account, and they send you the information. They may have a moderator who manages and approves mail before sending it to the subscribers. They may have someone who is sort of in charge, monitoring things. I know, like for the New Orleans Saints, I could get on a list served to get all kinds of news about the Saints. Who's hurt, who's going to be playing, stuff about the game that was played, coaches' comments, player comments, and all kinds of stuff like that. But someone will usually be in charge of that and kind of screening all that information that goes out or goes back in. Conferences must be visited to participate, while listserv messages appear in the subscriber's mailbox. So you can get together groups to participate in some discussions, and so those messages will be sent to our inboxes, and we'll be given invitations to listen in or else participate in some discussions that are going on. With the chats, you got what are called chat rooms. They're a virtual real-time chat space where you can talk to other people that are in that chat room. They also can be public or very private. You can communicate via either your keyboard or by voice. And also, you can load still or video images to while you're chatting. And certainly they'll maybe require some prior scheduling, because chats are synchronous. They are real time. And so everybody might say, such and such a time, Eastern Standard Time, there will be a chat. I know I've been invited to a number of chats from book publishers talking about very varying topics. And so they're very, very informative and helpful. And like that, you can get a lot of different views on things. IM, or instant messaging, is another chat form, but this is, instead of as a group, it's usually one-on-one. Next, we look at video conferencing. This is a new technology. All the participants hear and see each other in real time via the internet. And so we can see here, obviously we're going to have some kind of camera to be able to make that happen, but let's face it, high quality cameras are either many times now built in or very, very affordable for us to attach to our computers. You may use a computer monitor top or built-in video cameras and computer speaker or microphone. There's all kinds of ways to set yourself up for it. And like that, classrooms from all around the world can be connected via compressed video, where the software compresses the video signal so that it's much easier to transmit over the internet. Let's take a look at File Transfer Protocol, or FTP. It's software that allows users to upload or send files or download and receive files via the internet. Now we're not talking about communications. We're just taking files that we've got and having the capacity to be able to either upload them someplace or else go someplace, find them, and then download them to our computer. They're basically virtual libraries of downloadable files. Normally these files are usually compressed so that or zipped, where their size has been squeezed down enough so that they can be transmitted across the internet much quicker. And so if they are zipped, then obviously we have to have some kind of software that will unzip the files and restore them to their normal size. And certainly they just said they are decompressed or unzipped before we can use them. Here's a few other internet services like news groups. There are conferences dedicated to particular topics. I belong to a couple of news groups on vocational education and also internet learning. And so I get invitations at least weekly to participate. Usenet is a collection of news groups, and certainly newsreader programs are usually built into most internet browsers, so you and I can stay up to date on all the things that are happening both locally and around the world. Well, let's look at what exactly is the web. The web itself is not the same as the internet. It's not a separate network. The most popular of the available services on the internet. That's, there's all kinds of things we can use, but the web is the most popular. And it's basically a collection of publicly accessible pages or websites on the internet. These are websites that we can access very, very easily. Now, all the pages on that on the web use the same language or HTML programming language to present the information in a text and graphics format. And so that HTML language can be read by our browsers and translated into a graphical user interface so that we can, navigate and command, to hypertext to some other place, or choose some information, or else read information, scroll up and scroll down on it. So they all use HTML. And then, of course, we just mentioned the hyperlinks that will connect us from one page to jump to another page or even website. And they connect those websites and pages to each other. Now, a website is just a group of related pages written in HTML and stored on a web server. And so maybe you all have created your own websites, but you'll have a number of pages that you create and then put them out there on a web server. And the hyperlinks will let viewers navigate between or jump to pages using words or icons that are hot linked. They may be bolded, or they may have a button by them. There'll be some way for you to make that jump, but they're linked. And certainly the web browsers translate the HTML into the text and graphics that you and I see on the web page. Now, our browsers, and there's a number of them out there: Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome. They'll translate web page language for visitors and let them browse through the website files. Now, every web page has a specific address called a Uniform Resource Locator, or URL. Everyone has a page, and it differs. Now, HTTP with the colon and the 2 slashes designate the communications protocol between web servers. And so that's the way that the web servers are going to communicate with each other. Now, notice how most URLs will have the HTTP with the colon and 2 slashes in front of the URL. Now, of course, HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and that's the protocol that's used there. And this is a typical URL. And so you see the, let me see if I can kind of point this out, that here's the transfer protocol. So this is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Here's your domain name. All right. And then there may be a subfolder and then a specific document here. And so this is like the path or the name, URL name of this particular page that's on the internet. And every page has a different URL. Now, when we're looking at websites, they ought to have the following. They ought to be evaluated before using them in the classroom. Some websites are certainly not going to be appropriate for us to use because of the content and also the language and other things like that. There ought to be some kind of educational use and it being appropriate for the age of the student. It ought to be well organized, logical, and easy to follow. And then this is important. It ought to be accurate, offering meaningful information that is free of bias. Now, you can get all kinds of people's opinions and ideas about things, but certainly the information that's on that website ought to be right and true. And so that's why we need to check them out. And just don't assume that they're acceptable just because they are on the net. That that doesn't justify that. There's all kinds of stuff that's on the internet that's obviously inappropriate for a lot of people. They should also have appropriate authority and expertise. The people that create them, we ought to be able to trust their ability. And certainly, clearly cite sources. They ought to tell us where did they find this information, and not just dream it up. And not be selling a product or a viewpoint. They ought to be objective, just giving us the information and let us make that decision. Now, by incorporating multimedia, websites can help address diverse learning styles. And so we can, whenever we got video, audio, animation, we can do all kinds of other things rather than just sit there and read. Now, we may have to install some little software applications called plugins that will need to expand the browser's ability to use multimedia, like Flash Player, Adobe Authorware, things like that. Now, we have to understand with all of this extra content, multimedia also increases download time and requires greater bandwidth. So if we have a slow internet connection, chances are we won't be able to take advantage of this because of the file sizes. And certainly graphics will add interest to anybody visiting the website. And the most common graphic formats are your GIF or graphics interchange format images. They can be still or animated artwork. Your JPEG, Joint Photographic Expert Group. Your JPEG images are typically used for photographs. They are the best to be able to put on websites because they're downloaded very, very easily. As for audio, sound clips will certainly add an extra dimension to a web page. And your audio files are also large files, and they have all kinds of formats like waves and MP3s. They also need to be downloaded before being played. We can't just play them real time. We need to download the file, then let our software apps like Windows Media Player then play the files for us. We can also have a situation called streaming, which sends audio in a continuous flow and doesn't require the file to be downloaded before listening. And so we can just listen, click on the link and listen real time. And of course, video. They can add moving images to a web page. And certainly streaming video allows for viewing as the clip is downloaded, so we can look at it while it's downloading to our PC and watch it. But because of the sizes, your clips are usually brief. They're not going to be like an hour or 2 hours long. They'll be 5 minutes, 2 minutes, something like that, something nice and short. Now, due to the bandwidth limitations, the clips may sometimes appear choppy, so that the motion sometimes has some hesitation to it. But, that's a small price to pay for the ability to be able to see something real time. And then we got virtual reality. These are 3D graphic environments that users can manipulate and navigate. Virtual reality field trips can safely take students to dangerous, like the bottom of the ocean, or impossible, the molecular level of worlds. And so I'm sure you've seen these virtual reality systems. Instead of having a computer monitor, the individual has like a helmet or a headset that covers their eyes, and they basically have little monitors in that headset, and then certainly they can also have sound, but then they may have gloves that are connected to the computer, and so they are in a whole different world, and so they can walk and then touch things and manipulate things. It's a very interesting environment. Computer might require a virtual reality plug-in to run. We have search engines that are programs to help us find information on the web. And so whenever somebody creates a website, they usually register their URL and then add some type of keywords that tell us something about the website and a brief description of it. And then like that, they can be extracted and added to search engines by spiders. And so search engines will maintain a database of URLs, keywords, and descriptions. And then once we type the keyword, then we'll get a list of hits. That's websites or places where our search term or terms can be found that match. And so whenever we use search engines, it's important that we get really specific about what kind of keyword we're going to use. There's some methods that make searching faster and more efficient, like using and, or, not. etc. We have what are called portals. They're doorways to the internet and its many resources. These are some sites that started as search engine sites and then grew into portals. The portals also offer a variety of services like a search engine, news, email, chats, and just like many of the things we just talked about. But unlike internet service providers, your portals do not provide connections to the internet. So, the internet makes the knowledge of the world available in any classroom. We've got an internet connection, then we have access to all kinds of stuff, all from all over the world at our fingertips. It also makes global communication possible, including communication for learning. We can talk to people in foreign countries. We can also learn from them and them from us. It can also help us, and it gives the opportunity to participate in virtual learning communities across nations, and it's possible for students and teachers. And so we can connect with other learners in other countries and get some very, very valuable experience without having to pick up and go to that place. And so that wraps up our discussion right here on chapter 9. And so with that, we will wrap this lecture up and get ready for chapter 10.